Welcome, amazing masterminders from across the country. Today is Thursday, October 11th, 2018, and this is Mastermind call number 198. Real quick, before I ask Chad to make some comments, just want to go over a few ground rules with you. Nothing is off limit on these calls. I think in the last 5 years, we've had 3 or 4 cases where someone had a question that we've never heard before and will never have probably hear again, and it required a very detailed answer. So we want to get as many pertinent calls in as possible. If we get something that, maybe only applies to you, we might ask you to call us back, but don't be afraid to pipe up and hit *6, hit 1, and don't be afraid to ask any question. Secondly, we've really determined that we want to respect your time and keep these calls to an hour. So sometime around, the half hour or the 40-minute mark, I'm going to call, last call. And if you do want to participate, you need to hit *6 and hit 1. After that point, I will not see you if you go into the queue. So if we ever leave anybody in the queue, it's not intentional. And please, if you have something pressing and we don't get to you on the call, give us a call right afterwards, email or call our support line, and we'll call back and we'll go over it with you personally. We don't ever want to leave any questions unanswered. We also want to be timely and respect everybody's schedules and, get you back out and off to work again. So having said all of that, I don't have much other news. Chad, anything you want to share with the group?
No, just that I am back. I'm going back on the road again, but I will be at the Exit Realty Convention next week, and I've scheduled Probate Mastery for the 16th, 17th, and 18th, which is next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 2 p.m. to roughly 4 p.m. each day. So if you've been waiting on me to take Mastery, or if you've already signed up for Mastery, you probably have seen the registration. I manually registered everybody who signed up while I was out. But if you're interested in signing up, you should have gotten a couple of emails already, and I think there's one more reminder. I'll send out a reminder on Monday morning just so everybody gets a chance to see that. So October Mastery is next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So hopefully we can see some of you there.
Excellent. And any Exit Realty agents on the call that are going to be in D.C., good chance to get some one-on-one time with your probate coach, and he might even turn on the camera and get an interview with you if you have nice things to say. So I know we've got
a couple. And also, guys, we'll be in Boston for NAR in a few weeks. That's at the end of the month. I think that's the 27th of October through the 4th or the 5th of November. So if anyone, if you guys have success stories you'd like to share with our, with other subscribers, I do have some of those that I'll be sending out from the Exit Realty Convention. We have some exit agents that are done incredibly well. But yeah, we'd love to meet you guys. Jim and I, do a lot of these shows, and we do get to meet a lot of you, but the more the merrier. So if you're out and you have a success story, we'd be happy to do a video testimonial and make it worth your while.
Excellent. Yeah, NAR is November 2nd through the 5th, and then Triple Play Conference in Atlantic City is the same days. I think it's the 2nd through the 5th, also the first week of December. So, yeah, let us know if you're going to be there. We'll make sure we let you know what booth we're in, and we'd love to put some faces with the names and the voices.
Oh,
so
something worth mentioning, Jim, is if you guys don't have tickets for NAR in Boston, I don't know if I sent the email already. If not, keep your eye out. We did get a promo code so you can get free tickets to the expo portion of NAR in Boston.
Yeah, and I think that there is normally a charge for that. So if you're in Boston, you're not going to attend the whole convention. You just want to come and see all the products and services out there, let us know. We'll get you a free pass. And again, just send an email to support@alltheleads, and we will connect you with that. All right. Well, we have 3 people in the queue, guys. We normally have, time for 10 to 12. So, like I said, nothing's off limits. Don't be shy. Hit *6 and then hit 1. And we have one very patient person in the queue who's been there for about 20 minutes already. Phone number ending in 6001. You're up first.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Mark calling from South Florida. I have a question for something that I encountered. My assistant, Michelle, makes a lot of my initial calls for me, and we ran across someone who is a personal representative, and they happen to be in prison. How's this? Any ideas on how to proceed?
So is there an attorney assigned to the case already?
I'm not sure. She just fed me the information, and I was going to do some follow-up and research today. But knowing that we had the call, I wanted to put out the question real quick. What happens if they don't have an attorney?
I'm guessing she spoke to another family member who
that's correct.
Gave you that information. Okay.
Correct.
And they were appointed in the will as the personal rep or as the executor.
You still there, sir?
Mark?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, they were appointed in the will.
Okay. I don't know how this would go. I mean, they just because they're in prison doesn't mean they don't have the capacity to do it. It'll create some challenges. But if they're willing, if the court is willing to let them, well, actually, they don't have to be there to be appointed. I find it hard to believe that they're the best person for the job, because how are they going to make a list of assets and be able to manage all of that? So
correct.
I think it's a really good opportunity for you to introduce yourself to the probate attorney and say, listen, we've helped families, but we've never encountered this. And I just wanted to one, educate myself, and two, see how I can help you and the family. I realize this could be even more challenging than usual, but we're definitely set up to handle just about anything. And we've never done this, but we'll learn. So I think it's a good chance for you to at least let the attorney know that you're going above and beyond your call, and then find out what you can from them, like if the family or if the court has moved to appoint someone else. What may end up happening is the court may decide that a public administrator is in the best interest of the estate, because that person has physical limitations of actually administering the estate, like getting the house cleaned out, getting things signed.
Correct.
So I would talk to the probate attorney, and then you can call the family member back that told you about that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the mother's out of state. The child, the son is in prison in South Florida. The property's in South Florida. So I think we have an opportunity to really be able to assist and get the deal done.
Who filed probate, Mark? Like who went to the clerk and filed?
I'd have to go back and research that. I have to go into the court case.
Okay. That's the person you should be talking to, because they've obviously realized what needs to be done and went and did that. And I'm guessing it wasn't the executor, because he was in prison. So
correct.
Someone
he could have gone to prison after they filed. So one never knows.
Well, that's valid. Yeah. So, I mean, you've got an interesting case, and I think you're going to be really, really valuable to everyone. You just have to get a few more details and see. But I think it would be definitely, if it were my family, I'll say this, if I were in prison, I think I would abdicate that role and let a public administrator handle the estate, so my family, was taken care of.
Correct, yes.
And Chad, it reminds me, Mark, I was just going to comment, I think it was a year or so ago, probably the most bizarre question we've ever had asked on this call was very similar. One of our agents was dealing with one of the heirs who was not the executor. Her brother was the executor, and he was in prison for killing their parents. So we said, wow, that'll never happen again in 500 years. But Chad gave the same advice. And if I remember correctly, she did establish a relationship with the attorney. The attorney very easily got the person she was dealing with changed, by the court, changed. In other words, got a new executor appointed and got the other guy kicked out, and she ended up being able to do the deal that way. So, it's very rare, but it happens, and I'm sure it, really solidify the relationship you have with that person, because it's a good chance she's going to either be the executor or she's going to be the influencer that'll say, you're the realtor because you've reached out and tried to help her.
Correct. Yes, thank you for the valuable information.
Sure, anytime. Excellent. We have 4 more in the queue. Great participation, everyone. Next up is 8633. You're up next.
Yes, hi. I just want to let you know I didn't receive any emails from you, so I don't have any documentation or anything that I'm supposed to have. I'm Angie from South Florida.
Okay, Angie, are you a new subscriber?
Yes.
Okay, then one of two things happened. There could be a typo on your email, or it may have gone into your spam, your junk mail.
No, I looked.
Right away.
I looked.
Yeah. Okay, then please send an email right away to support@alltheleads.com, and they will check to make sure you have done that. Okay, when did you do that?
No. Support.
Oh, okay. Support. No, support@alltheleads.com. Alltheleads.com. Yeah, we've got. I don't think Tom is on the call, but he usually tells everyone. We now have a couple dozen employees. Everybody reads that, and whoever's available, the best person to help you, will get on it right away. And if you checked your junk mail, then I'm guessing there's probably just a typo. Sometimes you might have entered it wrong. Sometimes we may have carried it over and put the wrong email in there. But I'm suspect that's what it is, and they'll get that cleaned up right away, and they'll resend you what you didn't get.
Okay, perfect. So they're going to send me all the forms and everything I need to have?
Yep, everything you need to get started that you didn't get, they'll make sure you have. Just send them that email, and they'll get on it almost instantly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that.
Okay, you're very welcome. And next, you're welcome. Next up is phone number ending in 1404. You're up next.
Good morning, guys. This is Brandon calling from the Los Angeles area. Hope you guys are doing well.
Excellent. Hi, Brandon. Thank you.
I am new to the system, so I'm going to listen more than ask questions. But and I have our onboarding call scheduled with Tom on Friday, which is great. But since I have you both on the phone, I wanted to ask a question on the importance of any designations. We are real estate agents out here. In particular, the CPRES designation, or if there's anything you recommend that would help educate us and make us more informed and offer credibility as well.
So the course we teach, kind of our master course, is called Probate Mastery. And it's about, the last class we did was almost 7.5 hours of content. So it's different than the CPRES because that focuses more on logistics, where we focus more on people and situation and how you can bring value. There's merit to every course out there. Probate Mastery is $250. We teach it live once a month, and the class is coming up this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We find that most people who take that have usually about a 3x success rate, because we focus on kind of getting clear on what it is you're offering, and then getting clear on how to build that out, and then completely picking apart the initial conversation, objection handling, and all that. So it's a very, very practical training for the system that we teach, how to get the most out of this and how to get into engaging conversations. And it does come with a certification, a CPE or Certified Probate Expert designation. We'll send you a certificate, and you also have a digital web badge, to use on business cards or websites.
And how do we sign up for that?
If you're in the subscriber portal, just jump up to Education and Training, and there's a blue button. There's a video and a course outline. You can click the blue button and sign. Just follow the instructions.
Great. And so just to clarify, what you guys offer is more hands-on. This is how we talk to people. This is the relationship building part, where the CPRES is more foundational stuff. How does the process work and the flow, legal part of it, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I would say that their training focuses more on probate, where mine focuses more on people and service.
Understood. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Great question. Thank you. And I'm sure others will benefit. Chad is a world traveler as well as busy as heck, so we try to teach that class every month, and most months we do. But, yeah, jump into the one next Tuesday. The timing is great. And one thing he didn't mention, once you take it, you're an alumni, you can take it as many times as you want in the future. It keeps getting better and better. It seems to be getting a little bit longer, too. I know, Chad, it started out as a much shorter course, but more the audience participates, longer it gets. But we do have people that took that a year ago, and they regularly jump back on and take it again. So there's no additional charge if you want to take that. Once you take it, you're kind of an alumni, and you can go back in there and take it over and over again as many times as you want. Okay? All right, thank you. Next up, we have 4 more in the queue, guys. We do have room for more, but next up is phone number ending in 7687. You're up next.
Yeah, hey, it's Jeff Chubb from I'm up here in Boston. Question for you was, do you have anybody with the mailings and things that you'd be able to put me in touch that are having luck with a book, that they're sending out a book, getting people to reach out to you about a book that you've published about specifically probates?
There's one customer that we have, and it's not a probate specific book. It's more of he covers several topics, and probate is one of the chapters.
Gotcha.
It sounds like you're thinking of like a marketing hook, like giving out a book instead of a letter or a flyer.
Well, the letter would have the book in it, so reach out to us for this, book, and we can send it to your house. I was also curious to know if anybody split tested where you have it something like that, or if you give them a book right from the get-go, right, which would cost you a lot. I mean, your cost per lead drastically goes up if you're doing it for every 100 leads that that are coming in.
Hey, Chad.
Yes,
This is Tim. I did get on. That's a great idea, actually, and I think that's something that we could probably take on to put together, because that's not the first time we've been asked that, and put together like an 8-pager that has all that kind of information in it, more focused around probate. We could definitely go do that.
Well, not to reinvent the wheel, there's a company out there where you can specifically buy a book that is probate and it's published, and my beautiful face and name and everything are all over it as the publisher. So, I mean, look, if you have additional resources that doesn't cost me that money, per month, and that's great. I just was curious to know if anybody else was doing that, because that's what I'm basically.
We don't. So in this group, I don't know of anybody that has done that enough. That's really focused on doing that. I do know that in other mastermind groups and different niches, it is really effective. And you're right, it does get costly. I mean, it's usually, I don't know what your cost per book is, but I know guys that are spending $6 to $8 per book, and they send it to prospects. But I think it will definitely work. You may focus on phone prospecting and then send the book to anyone you speak to. It might control your cost of your campaign.
Well, and I think that's a reason to your hook on the phone too, is having it kind of in your arsenal. So that was kind of my reasoning there. Okay, perfect. I just didn't know if you had anybody that has already done it, so that way I don't have to reinvent this darn wheel. But sounds like I'll invent the wheel. I appreciate it.
Well, pull the trigger and come back and let us know how it worked out for you. And if we don't have the content written right now, but if you ever need help with printing, we are set up. We could help you with printing and distribution, and that way you're not running multiple systems. If you send us your book once, then we can print it, and you can order directly from our CRM. You could have your book sent out just like you could letters.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. We have 3 more in the queue. We have, again, guys, there's room for plenty more. Just hit *6 and then hit 1. Next up is phone number ending in 2583. You're up next.
Hi, this is Ronit. I don't have a question. I just wanted to let it, talk about my win of the week, I guess.
Awesome.
That,
Good.
yeah. Yeah. So basically, it was from a letter. Usually I call people a lot. And so this person called me. She got my letter. And she said she was looking for something exactly like this. She was really overwhelmed, and she lived out of state. Excuse me. So she, I told her, I could definitely handle it. And she signed the listing agreement, and I'm just prepping the house right now. We're doing some home improvements, and then we're going to list it. It's about $450. It's an apartment, so it's pretty good. It sort of, was something that I didn't have to call a million times, and it was relatively painless, I guess.
Yeah. Don't you love absentee owners? When I tested this system, 14 out of 16 deals were absentee owners. It's certainly a much more efficient way to do your listing presentation. 10, 15 minutes on the phone, send off the paperwork, and wait for it to come back. That's great.
Yeah.
And you got. Go ahead, Chad.
I was going to say, I want to get this straight. You expect us to believe that you got a come list me call in Manhattan?
No,
come on.
She lives in Pennsylvania.
I'm messing with you. So you're
okay.
Ronit's in a very competitive market, and I don't know, what we talked 6 or 8 weeks ago, and we worked on some things. So that's awesome, and I'm being facetious. Like, it happens to all of us, even in the most competitive. Even in the most competitive markets, eventually, if you stick with it and keep at it, the come list me calls will eventually come. So that's great, good news.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for the. I got some inspiration from your guys, all the mailings and the, what we should write and all that. So that was very helpful.
Excellent. So the mail does work, you're saying. Occasionally somebody actually responds. They called you before you called them, or in conjunction with. That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
She called me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at $500,000, I think you paid for your program for the next year, it sounds like. Pretty close.
It'll cover, close. I already calculated. It'll cover maybe the year. So I need a few more, of course.
Yeah. Don't wait till next year to do the next one. I know you won't. But
I'm on it.
Repeat rinse and repeat. Just do the same formula and do that on a monthly basis. We've got a very successful agent in New York City that he's our 5th agent there, and he's the first one that's really worked the program correctly. But he generated nearly $1 million in commissions last year just from probate. So the nice thing with you guys in New York, you don't need to do a lot of deals to have this make a tremendous amount of sense.
No, we just have a lot of competition.
Sure. But you didn't let that stop you. Thank you, Ronit. Well, so far you are definitely in first place for our win of the week.
Great. I need it.
We'll see if anybody else can beat you. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add? No?
No. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next up is phone number ending in 8978. You're up next.
Hi, my name is Jamal, and I have a simple question. My question is, how simple or complex do you leave a voice message? I do a lot of phone calls, mainly. I'm not sending any letters, but I mean, how simple or complex should the voicemail be?
Less is more. Really the only point of voicemail is to get your phone to ring, right? So the big mistake, and I learned this lesson by making the mistake, but trying to sell your service or explain what you do over voicemail is kind of pointless. So what I've tested several, probably 24 messages. The one that I got the most callbacks on was, "Hey, this is Chad. I sent you a letter last week. Had a minute to follow up with a call. Just wanted to make sure you got it and you understood why we sent it. Give me a shout when you get this. And that gives them they go. The reason that one's good is because they'll go look for the letter if they haven't read it. They'll match up my name with that letter, and then the ones who actually need your help will call back, and they're usually ready to go. You can leave an even more brief message and get more callbacks, but you've got to be prepared to disarm them. You know, you can call and say, hey, this is Chad, just trying to reach John Doe. Please give me a call back. But then you're going to get a John Doe on the phone that says, who are you and why are you calling me? Because you left a vague message, which is fine as long as you're prepared to kind of disarm them and control the conversation. Some folks get rattled by that and they kind of lose control. So play with, like, less is more. The more curiosity you leave out there, the more likely you are to get a return call. The big point is don't try to sell your service over voicemail, because it never works for me.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I should say I know that personal representative or just general say, hey, this is Jamal. Hey, give me a call when you get it. When you get this message.
No, you can pretty much bet that everybody else is focusing on the probate and saying, hey, I know you're a personal rep. That's why I'm calling. Call me back. So leave it vague and just say, listen, I sent you a letter. Give me a call when you have a chance, or just, hey, I'm trying to reach John Doe. Please call me when you can. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. We got great participation in the queue. We may have to cut it off in the next few minutes. So anybody who wants to get in there, go in now. Hit *6 and hit 1. Next up is phone number ending in 7500. You're up next.
Hey, this is Tom from Southern California. I have a follow-up on the prison question that somebody spoke about earlier. At least in California, they have each prison has their own service, and they expedite documents very quickly.
Good to know.
My neighbor happens to be a captain in the prison guard system, and he turned me on to this. And they actually work faster than the public. So, and one of them was a personal representative. It was a very smooth transaction.
That's good.
Check your prison systems. They have those departments at each individual prison.
So I guess that means if you're the realtor and you're in prison, you can work it also, right? You can work the deal?
Yes, you can, just as long as you maintain your license.
Okay, that's good. Good to know. Thank you. Go ahead.
Listed one on Monday. We have verbals on 3 other ones from last month's mailing. And then I've set up 10 relationships with people that half of them are out of state. So.
Wow. So say that again. One listing. What were the other numbers? You have appointments with how many?
We'll list another one on Tuesday of next week. And then a gentleman, because what I do is I send a letter, I follow up, hey, did you receive my letter? I wanted to go over it. Then I send a note saying, thanks for taking my phone call. And then I follow up again on that. And the gentleman, 2 gentlemen just loved the personal service and the handwritten note. So.
And did you say you had 10 more prospects, or did I mishear you?
10 more prospects, yeah, that are waiting on their court dates, which are in the next 2 weeks.
Wow. So. And what was your first name again?
I'm Tom.
Tom,
yeah. If I do a lot of farming, and so I'm switching out of that into this. So I've been in the business 20 years, and it's a matter of setting up relationships with people. And in their hard times. And I find that majority of the people are very, very open. And then the ones that aren't, okay, that's fine. I get it.
Yeah. Like Chad said before, this works in New York and it works in L.A., California. My gosh, those are the two of the toughest markets in the country. So if you guys can do it, boy, there's no excuse for anybody not being able to do it regardless of what market you're in. That's a great story. Thank you.
All right.
Ronit, Ronit has some competition now. We got 2 wins of the week. Thank you for sharing that. Anything you want to say about that, Chad?
No, just congratulations, man. That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you're just making the transition, and you know, the common thread in all of our success stories is action. And I don't want to sound like some cliche real estate coach, but really, the people that get out there and do it and believe in their offer have stories like Tom's. So, thank you for coming and sharing.
Yeah, and I also send a blue pen, which stands out from everything. And I understand, you know, the people get flooded with phone calls, but an item of value, I call it, because I do Buffini also, is highly recommended, because then it just you want to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
Lumpy mail, right?
Tom, are you doing your own mail?
Yes, I do.
I don't know if you're aware of it. If you want to send your pens to us, we can actually automate all that for you. We do lumpy mail fulfillment as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank Patrick is a friend of ours, and he has a course where he teaches his students to use lumpy mail. So we kind of partnered to help him out, and we do mail fulfillment, multiple touches, different widgets in each envelope. So if you're struggling with that, or you just want to delegate it, we're set up to do it, and you can put it on autopilot. So every month when your leads come in, your letters with pens go out, and you never have to touch a blue pen again.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the great success story. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have 4 more in the queue, and that's probably going to take us pretty close to the top of the hour. We probably have room for, I'll give it another 5 minutes before I close the queue. So last call, hit *6 and hit 1. And then next up is phone number ending in 9234. You're up next.
Hi, this is Chad, and I've got a question. When you're doing these people who are out of state, absentee type situation, and they're out of state, how do you deal with them? Do you still try to arrange to meet them at the property, or do you just try to take care of everything via the internet and email?
Well, it just depends on. So for the initial listing appointment, I like to have, I make sure that I have all the decision makers as part of the conversation. If they're really tech savvy, I'll do that over like a join.me or GoToWebinar. Otherwise, right. I'll send an email and then set up a conference call at the property. If no one is tech savvy, uses email, then you can send a snail mail package with what you're going to have. Now, if everybody is out of town and there's nobody to meet with in town, you can just do a complete, what I recommend, I've never seen a house that someone didn't have keys or access to. So right. Find out who the caretaker is, go preview the house, and then set up the appointment with the family members on a conference call. Jim had people even mail him keys because he dealt with a lot of absentee owners in Florida. So they would actually drop the keys in the mail. He would go to the house and then call them back and take care of the listing. So it really, the important thing is you want to include anyone the question I like is, who do you feel like should be part of this conversation? Right. So in that initial conversation, you find out who the decision makers are, even if they're, they might not necessarily be an executor, but if it's his wife, she's probably a decision maker, right? And right. So just include those people on a phone call or a webinar, or however you can get them together. But at least for that first call, try to get everybody together.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Excellent. Well, the queue is now closed. We've got 5 more people in there, so we got plenty of time, 6 actually, to answer all your questions. Next up is phone number ending in 9734. You're up next.
Yeah, I'm kind of a newbie in probate, but I had a question about just maybe billing. So say, like the lady, she was, getting the house repaired, or maybe a cleaning service or trash, whatever it is. Would that company just bill it to the estate, or will that person come out of pocket and pay? Like, how would that work?
It depends on the vendor. And so typically they're, if it's an estate sale company, they're going to take a percentage of the gross sale proceeds. If it's a clean out crew, they're going to charge, usually a base rate or an agreed upon rate. And sometimes the company will invoice, a closing company, so it's paid at the real estate closing. Sometimes they invoice the client directly. And so what we tell everybody is, as you're setting up your team and getting these vendors, if you have vendors that can carry invoices, then it gives you a lot more flexibility and you can offer a higher level of service. For example, if a family has no money in the estate, all the equity's tied up in the real estate, but it's going to take 2 weeks to clean it out, a month on the market, and then another month to get it closed, the families, their back's against the wall. So either someone has to step up and pay out of their pocket, or you need to carry the invoice to closing. So if you have a strong partner that can carry that invoice to closing, and it's reasonable to charge interest on that while they're, waiting to be paid. But if you have that kind of a relationship with that kind of a company, then you can relieve a lot of stress from the family and really impress them with, that's a whole different level of service. So it's kind of, as you're feeling out your partners, you'll know which ones might have the potential to do that. But the more people, the more options you can offer, the more valuable you are to your clients and the less stressful the situation is to them.
Gotcha. Okay. And I have one other kind of random question. I mean, I'm not sure because my broker doesn't, he kind of just says, yeah, do it this way. But on the contract, you would put maybe, Billie Jean in the estate of John Doe as the signature?
So personally, and this is a question for your broker, or are you an investor, a realtor, or both?
A realtor.
Okay. Yeah, I would ask your broker about it and see what they're comfortable with. What I do is I make sure that the personal rep has been appointed as the administrator and has the authority, and then I have them sign the listing agreement in their name. I also have them bring the probate documents, and I go ahead and snap pictures with my phone and create a PDF, send that to my title company so we're not chasing that later in the process. And we actually close the chain of title using the death certificate, the will if there was one, and then the articles of testamentary that will actually show that they do have the authority to have signed the listing agreement and to sign the deed on the transfer.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and the other thing, it goes into MLS as John Doe versus estate of Mary Smith, which can attract a lot of BS offers.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Next up is phone number ending in 767067. You're up next.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Good morning, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm new to the whole program here. Two quick questions. One, on when you start sending out your letters, do you recommend sending out the first letter with anything in it? Like, for example, I noticed you had some flyers, brochures online, and I thought I'd like to get that flyer printed and customized. Is that when it should be used? That's my first question.
Different people use those in different ways. We have folks that for sure they will put them in the first letter, and some people just send the flyer instead of a letter. Some people wait until the appointment to include the flyer. There's no such thing as a marketing budget. It's all a test budget. So whatever you feel like is the best sequence for you is probably the best sequence for you. The trifolds are really effective, and we can customize it as much as you would like. So you probably see, 3 or 4 samples on the website, but I'll bet we have 3 or 4 dozen different flyers. So if it's something you're interested in, you can email support@alltheleads, and Alyssa will help you.
I sent an email yesterday on that exact thing, so I'm waiting to hear back from you folks, and on the customization, et cetera. So, we'll play that one by ear a little bit, see how that goes. My other question is, I've signed up for the Mastery webinar which starts next week, and that on the second day I'm going to have to miss the class because I have another commitment set up for a program I'm putting on. And
Sure.
I'm wondering, is that okay? Because I'm looking at I'm registered thing, and it says, you can cancel at any time. I'm thinking, should I cancel if I can't make one day, or just listening to the audio
so we're
afterwards?
we're in real estate. There's no way 50 of us could ever get together at the same hour of the same day. So everything I do is recorded, and immediately following the session by like 5 o'clock, you'll have a recording in your inbox and all the attachments that we discussed and the video recording of the whole course. And what I tell everybody, I mean, there's no way we're always going to be able to attend every session. Like if you have questions that you weren't able to ask during the session, you can, just call or email me and I'll work with you one-on-one to get those answered.
Okay, that sounds great. And what would be the typical return or response time on sending an email to your support line there via email?
Typically, you're going to get a same-day response. If we do have a couple of people out of the office in our print shop right now, so Alyssa might be buried, but you should hear from Alyssa today about your trifold brochure.
Yeah, and I wasn't asking to print it yet. I had a couple of questions I think that I sent, and I have some content prepped, and I'd love to know how do I send that content in to sub in for your boilerplate and imagery, etc. But I'm just waiting on that.
If there's something urgent, you can always call the main line. I mean, we're from about 9 to 6. We man that line. So if you call 844-532-3369, then you should get a live answer, and they'll transfer you to the right person who maybe hasn't gotten to your ticket yet.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I'm just waiting on my first set of leads that are due tomorrow, so I want to get prepped for that and figure out, just make sure I'm ready. The other thing is if you go ahead and put that initial letter in, you guys had talked about a special envelope, an invitation size envelope. To stick one of those trifolds in there and fold that in half kind of feels a little goofy, or not thought through. So I'm wondering, like, what's more important, the invitation size envelope with the first letter, or to include the other content?
Well, and that's a valid point. I mean, a greeting card envelope, in my experience, always does better than a number 10 business envelope. But you have a valid point. So you could do a number 10. I would say choose an off-white or a pastel number 10 envelope, and make sure it's a hand address still. So it's got a live stamp and a hand address. So that way it still looks personalized.
Right. Okay. Good comments. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Next up in the queue is phone number ending in 7671. You're up next.
Hi, this is Barbara from Central Florida.
Hey, Barbara.
I have 2 wins for the week and 1 question.
Okay.
I actually got a call from someone, an owner who lives like about 4 hours away from the property, and I have an appointment to look at the house tomorrow. He's basically going to sign, but the person has the key. And so he called me and he said he was had to do something with the title. There were some issues that he just called me. So I have an appointment tomorrow. And then I have another property. I have an appointment for Monday on there were a lot of agents calling her, but I followed up. She was actually from the September leads, and the first one was from the August lead. So I'm very happy about that.
Good for you. Good for you. That's great.
My question was on the attorneys. I had physically went in person to about 12 of them and emailed another 15. I was wondering, how should I follow up with these people? Should I just go in again? What should I really be doing on that?
When you started a relationship with an office visit?
Yeah, I didn't really get to see any of the attorneys themselves. I just left a few brochures with the receptionist or
Okay.
the
I would so we've had quite a few stories where attorneys have called the agent back and requested more brochures. So you may just do like a brochure refresh run and just say, hey, I was in the neighborhood. I just wanted to make sure you guys had plenty of these. Is John in today? And just give him a good old, we call it a West Virginia drop by. But just drop in and take some more brochures with you and see if they've given out the ones you left the first time, and maybe the attorney's there to speak with today.
Okay, and what about the email ones? Maybe I should go in person. I figured I'd try a split thing where there was somebody who had success with the email, but I had one that said, no, I'm using this other agent exclusively, but the rest of them, no response or anything on the email.
Yeah, email is, we've had people that have had a lot of success with email. By far, there's nearly 100% success rate for the folks who get out and just go meet attorneys face to face. You can build a real relationship a lot quicker, and they can really understand what it is you do and see how proactive and hungry you are to help the folks that they're helping.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. And if you're going to do a West Virginia drop-by, you don't have to bring moonshine, right? Is that mandatory, Chad?
I guess we'll let it slide since it's business.
All right, I guess not. Good job, thank you. Great, we got 3 wins now. The common theme is that the tougher the market, the better the results, it sounds like. We've got New York, California, and Florida so far. That's awesome. All right, next up is phone number ending in 9398. You're up next.
All right, ladies. Hi, my name's Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and the child in the background. She sounds enthusiastic. We are having a hard time understanding you. If you're on a speakerphone, could you pick up?
Yeah. All right, is that a little bit better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, I'm a real estate investor in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I just kind of tapped into probate last 2 weeks, and I've been absorbing as much information as possible. Our goal, my company and myself, we're trying to see how we could get a probate deal, put it under contract, and then wholesale it to a cash buyer. And I was wondering if anyone out there has kind of been familiar with the Charlotte market, how that would look from getting where would I get an actual contract for the estate PR to sign, and what that looks like with that contract, getting a buyer, and then I guess finding a lawyer who actually would handle it. I'm not quite sure how that process kind of looks out from beginning to end, if someone could kind of guide me in that.
Sure. Because you're trying to wholesale it, I would recommend not using your state contract, because the North Carolina state contract is really complicated, just because of the deposit and contingencies in there. So I would recommend using a contract like more of a simplified contract that's made for investor deals, so you don't have to comply with all the complicated aspects of the state contract. It sounds to me like you need to sit down with a real estate attorney. And what I would recommend is, are you part of your local real estate investors association?
Yeah. We have 2 here, and there's one in particular that's been around for a long time. So.
And do you go to meetings?
I do. I'm not a member in it. I have gone to about three meetings so far.
That's okay. So there's bound to be, I would say, in a market the size of yours, there's probably a half a dozen really good, savvy real estate attorneys that are associated with the group. So the next meeting you go to, you need to meet those folks and find out who they are. So the people in the room that are doing the most deals, ask them, who are you using for your closings? And that's the shortest path to find an attorney that's used to doing double closes and they're used to doing wholesale, like a pass-through wholesale deal. But it's my advice is a simple contract. Go get it under contract with give yourself 30 to 45 days if that fits their needs. And have you built a buyer's list, or you still need to do you have cash buyers?
Are you there, ma'am? Hello? Hello, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me? It says still muted.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do you have a buyer's list?
Still building the list. I've had a couple of cards of people that say that they are investors, where they can they invest in people's property, give money, but nothing quite expensive just yet.
Okay. So once you've got, we'll just walk through a hypothetical. You meet with a seller, you have a simple contract, they sign that contract, you got a 45-day closing window. Now you need to go find a buyer. If you had to find a buyer today, my first recommendation would be go to the courthouse steps for the next trustee sale, because there you're going to find really ready, willing, and able buyers they have cash in hand ready to buy a house today. And introduce yourself, tell them that, you work with families in probate and you've got a deal right now that you don't want to keep, you need to move it. Would they be interested in taking a look? And that's a really, really quick way to find somebody like right now, like this week, have a cash buyer. A more longer term approach and something you should do, even if you sell that one, immediately, you should take that deal to your RIA meeting and show it to the organizers of the group and say, hey, listen, I've got this under contract, but we really aren't in a position to close on it right now. I'd like to pass it on. Who do you know that's looking to buy? And they should introduce you to some of the people in the room that are looking for acquisitions right now. Once you have that under what you need to do is you also need to come up with an assignment of contract, which is just a simple one-page assignment agreement. And you basically say, for X amount deposit, we assign all rights to this contract. And my advice would be get some help from a real estate attorney to write the purchase agreement and the assignment, and then run it through that attorney's office so he can do the double close. And chances are, if you met them at a RIA, they probably have a lot of experience doing this, and it's really simple. Some title companies won't do it because they don't really understand it. Most attorneys or title companies that are associated with RIAs it's a walk in the park.
And I just wanted to encourage you, I know we have at least several dozen wholesalers that follow our program, and one consistent theme we hear from them is the deals they do are considerably more profitable than their average deal. We've heard a lot of them tell us they make twice as much on the probate, and essentially it's because there's so little competition, and they're not looking to do a deal with everybody, just the ones that need immediate help. So keep up with it, please.
The families that are looking for a super fast solution, they usually have no emotional ties to the house, and they see it as a liability. I've told every family that I've ever bought a house from what I was going to sell it for, and they don't care. And the last probate house that I bought here in Roanoke ARV was 110. I paid $12 or $13,000 for it. Turned around and sold it for $51 that afternoon. And I literally sold a piece of paper for that spread. And I was flipping a house across the street, and the guy came and got me and took me over there, and he's like, I don't give a damn, just take it. I don't even want to see inside that house, because it was a hoarder house, and it was bad. It was the worst I've ever bought. So the spreads can be huge because the families just don't want to deal with it. And I've said, I can get you this much equity as a realtor, or I can write you a check today. And the ones that are ready, they'll take the check today.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you much. Next up is phone number ending in 8801. You're up next.
Yes, hello. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm on this call because I just read your article in the Realtor magazine, and I'm not on your program yet. However, I was just wanting to listen in. When I spoke to your person, Natalie, she invited me to listen in with you guys just to see. And so I'm from Louisiana, and I just had to deal with, Louisiana deals with the Napoleonic Code, which is why we have parishes, and the rest of the United States practices the English Code. And unfortunately, on October 10th, 2 years ago, which yesterday was the 2 mark, my father and my brother passed away, so I had 2 estates to sell in Louisiana. And I never really dealt with, I've been in real estate since 79 and in South Carolina now since 06. I never really dealt with prorated or houses. And due to the fact of what I went through with my father and my brother, I just decided to look into this market. So my question is, since I'm not familiar with the English Code of South Carolina with probate as far as listing agents selling probate houses, once you get your leads, then about how long do you think it takes before you actually get the listing or they can sell? It took 1.5 years for us to settle in Louisiana due to the fact that it was Napoleonic. However, in the other states, I'm guessing maybe 3 to 6 months once you get a lead and once you send the letter and then make a phone contact and then actually or legally able to put the house on the market if they choose you as an agent. So, could you give me an average of about how long the turnover would be?
It can be, it's a broad range. I think that considering what you've gone through and the reason you're interested in this, I'd like to shift your attention from that, like from the logistics of probate, over to remember what you felt like and the challenges you had. And think about how, as a real estate professional, how can you take that away for other families? Like, how can you take your experience and your expertise and make that an easier process? You're going to learn the logistics. Like, it's going to be simpler in South Carolina than it was in Louisiana. It can take anywhere from 3 months to 18 months. It depends on how motivated the family is, how together they are. If there's any backlogs in the court, how good the probate attorney is. There's a lot of variables, but in almost every case, as soon as someone is officially appointed after the initial hearing, then they have the authority to sign a listing agreement and sign. Sometimes you have to have court approval to actually close the real estate, but it's usually in the estate's best interest to go ahead and liquidate the largest asset so they can settle liability. So I'd like to see you focus more on what you went through and how you can create a service to help other people avoid that than worrying about what you don't know about the probate process, because it's really not that much different than most real estate transactions. But if you understand, and you're going to have more empathy than most of us because you've been through it, right? You remember the challenges and you know where you could have had help. Just focus on that and how you can best help people and using that story and that experience and building rapport with them, and you'll figure it out really quick. Don't worry too much about the timelines. 99% of the time, when you first speak with them, they have been appointed as the personal representative, so they have the authority to list. You can go ahead and list it, get it under contract, talk to the attorney and see. But if you really have specific questions, I would encourage you to go visit the county clerk in your county, or at least pick up the phone and talk to them and say, listen, I've been a real estate professional for a long time. I've been through probate in Louisiana, but can you please catch me up to speed here, because it's I really want to help families that have gone through what I have, and I just need to educate myself. And in my experience in doing it in several different states, the clerks are usually extremely helpful, and they'll answer all your questions.
Okay, I appreciate that. Now, my second question would be, I've listened to the whole hour, and I was hoping to hear more of success stories, like what is the ratio once you get these listings, you get X amount per month, and then it took how long, and then how many did you actually get listings, and how many did you actually sell? So I'm wanting to help families, but I also want to know, before I join the program, I want some numbers here. So,
Sure.
Can you help me out there? So I was hoping I would hear some other callers say, hey, I've had this, whatever. So what's the average of the leads that you get in my state versus listings versus sales? Can you answer that one, or is that a tough question for you?
It's tough to track because we're not actually in everybody's business. But what we know is, so like for me personally, I tracked everything, and I maintain 6% closing ratio. So if you give me 100 leads at the end of 90 days, I would squeeze 6 closings out of it like clockwork. We have people that do upwards of over 50% conversion. So they might get 20 leads and do 10 deals. We have people that do 0%, mainly because they never get it off the ground. So I'd say, if I had to say an average, probably 2%. So for every 100, you'll end up closing 2. And if you go to alltheleads.com, and in the top right of alltheleads.com, our website.
Alltheleads.com?
Alltheleads.com.
.com, okay.
And the menu on the right, you'll see blog. So click on blog and then scroll down. There's a series of videos called Tips from the Trainer. And I actually made a probate ROI calculator. And I think the default conversion rate in there is 2%. But you can put in your median price and your market, put in your conversion rate. But at 2%, which most people can achieve 2% conversion, at 2%, most folks have a 1,500 to 2,000% ROI, meaning, just like Ronit said, she had one deal and it covered her campaign for the year. So the next 10 are just pure profit. But if you're diligent and you use the system versus trying to reinvent the wheel, you should be able to achieve 2%. Your cash conversion cycle, you talked about time. I mean, the cash conversion cycle on most seller leads is 6 to 9 months. The cash conversion cycle on a probate lead is inside of 6 months for the majority of them. Now, you are going to have those come list me calls that are a year or 2 away from the last time you sent them a letter. Those are just bonus deals, right? So you'll eventually have people get ready. You haven't spoken to them or thought about them in months, and they'll call saying, "Hey, can you come take care of this?" But I think if you're looking to set realistic expectations, do the math, use that calculator, and consider a 2% conversion rate with your market median price, and see if that papers. I bet it does.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, we ran a few minutes over. If there's anybody who is in the queue that signed in after the deadline, I can't see you, but please, if you have something pressing, don't wait till next week. Just send an email to support@alltheleads, and one of us will call you back right away. I really want to end this call the way I end all of them. I want to thank tremendous turnout. I want to thank everybody for taking an hour out of your week to be here. Particularly thank the people that participated. We have a tough decision. We had 3 great wins in 3 tough markets, but we'll let you know at the beginning of next call who our winner of the week is. And I want to challenge y'all like I always do. We heard some great stories, some great ideas, some good successes. Take one idea, one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you being here. Have a great week, and we will talk to you the same time next Thursday.
Good.